All right, so I'm back home. It's a lot colder than it is in the rest of the country where we were doing Drift Week, but I'm bundled up in a bunch of clothes to try and stay warm. Let me show you guys it's really bright over there. Jeez. But over today, we're working on the 240SX. Promised you guys I was going to do a quarter panel swap. Let me show you what I got. Actually, we'll pull that back open. Show you some of the damage on the door jamb and down here on the rocker. The inside was cut away. I'm assuming so they could shove some basketballs or something to try and straighten her out. This inner fender liner is just wrapped up over and then bed linered. No welds, no nothing, so I'm sure water gets in. A whole lot of damage on this panel. So in a previous video you might have seen I got this entire quarter panel. I've got the car up on jack stand. Gonna actually do this quarter panel. I've already got the car leveled on jack stands. Got the interior all stripped out, pulled the tail lights and pulled the wiring out of the way. It's not quite out of the way yet, but it'll get there. Hard part is gonna be working around this cage. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna start cutting away at this skin just to reveal some of the hidden frame structure under the car. And I have the ability to look at the back side of it using this panel, which kind of gives me like an inside view. All right, I'm ready to start cutting, I think. Got my assortment of tools there. I went ahead and started making some marks on where I want to cut, what I think is most efficient on doing this. So I've got a cut here. I'm going to cut the window there and there. That way any welding I do on the body isn't going to be seen very much. Now I have to cut into this rocker here. So I've got a line here. I'm going to cut straight in. And I'm going to follow the seam right here all the way across. It gets tricky with the cage right here, but let's see if I can explain this. A lot of this is cut out and missing, and I want to actually put that back in. So that's kind of what makes this job extremely hard. This rail down here is bent, so we want to replace all that. So what I'm going to have to do is, as I'm cutting along this line here, I got to watch out for my wiring. I'm going to come up this box, still hugging this edge here, come around, and then I'm gonna come up here, come up and around. I'm gonna keep the flange on the wheel well. I'm gonna sawzall all the way around the wheel well, and then I'm gonna sawzall up and over this little brace thing because I want to keep that brace as well. I'm gonna come around here with the sawzall, come back down again on this side of the flange because I want to keep that flange. We're gonna come down here, and then there's factory body seam here. So we're gonna cross over, come across here. So there's that body seam. It's gonna be about right here, coming up. And then on here, I wanna hide the weld as best as possible. So I'm gonna come up around here and straight through here. So all the weld's gonna be in the channel. You're not gonna see it on the body anywhere. And then the only other thing I think is I'll have to cut this here because the floor in the trunk is right here, and then right here is nothing, and then right here's the trunk. So there's nothing back here. So I think I'm gonna try and cut it. Wish me luck. I'm gonna see how it goes. Damn, there it is. Quarterless. Oh boy. Ooh-wee. Was able to cut that seam pretty perfect. What I ended up doing was I left a lot of material extra. That way I can sand the car back to where it needs to be. This whole quarter still needs to come out. I was having a real hard time cutting here with the quarter panel in place, so I went around it. I left the whole wheel well in place. I did that because I wanted to keep most of it intact so that I can tub it similarly to what I did on this side. Used all the quarter panel, all the inner quarter panel I could to tub the rear as far as I could. Welded it all back together so no smoke will get through. That's what I'm gonna do to this side. Pretty much up next, I got to continue cutting out this quarter piece right here, and then I can start prepping my quarter panel to go on. So I'll chop off the top and do my measurements, get her lined up, and start tacking her in place. All right, so here we are, ready to start prepping it for the quarter panel transplant. I need to go ahead and trim this off, get that trimmed flat. I need to trim the wheel well off. I'm gonna trim this piece of metal off, but I wanna keep all the bracketry on the other side. That way I can spot weld it back onto the new one. Same thing, I wanna follow all this. I wanna keep this side of the flange, but I wanna remove everything on this side. Okay, so once I get that done, here's the quarter panel. So you can see once I get that done on this panel, then I'll remove this. I'll remove this piece, all this, all the way up until here. That way when this one will mate up perfectly to that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get doing that and get back to you later. Okay, so I've got most of the car cut away, ready to add the new quarter panel onto. And I've gone ahead and cut most of my excess quarter panel away, and I'm getting ready to graft it on. Now what I've got is this fancy little tool, and I'm flanging. You see right here, I've already started. This is all flat, and this is flanged. So this was my cut line for the window sill right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm flanging it. I cut extra, and the flange piece is gonna go under here. That flange piece is gonna slide under here and act as a backing for me to weld to. I've done it on this side, and I've done it on this side as well. And then for the lower rocker piece, I've saved a piece of the old rocker. Switch hands here. Let's see if I can slide this guy in one-handed. There we go. So this will act, sorry about that. So that piece is gonna act as a backing for these. The new piece is gonna slide over all this, and this piece is gonna act as a backing for me to weld this seam. And I'll trim this down and make it less ugly, because right now it's a little excess. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna continue flanging this, and then I'm gonna test fit the quarter panel. I'll get you guys some up close flanging action. Let's see. Pretty much just squeeze this as hard as I can. Slide it down my line. Squeeze. Hard to do with one hand holding the camera, but I'll go back over it with both hands to make sure that it's nice and crimped. So now you can see it's got a nice flange. In fact, I'll just grab ye old scrap metal. So this is just a piece of scrap metal that I haven't cleaned off the burrs or anything. But you can see it sits, well, it's a little, gosh, it's a little out of focus. And you can see if I clean off the burrs, that actually sits pretty flat. Wow, so here it is, mostly trimmed up, ready to go. Got the door closed. There's still just a tiny bit more trimming to do, but what I'm really happy about is, for the most part, it's perfect. This is the 2 body seams for the inner and outer fender well. They're lining up pretty good. I got my tail light panel piece sliced pretty good. I still need to trim, so this red, wow, the camera's got some depth perception. This red still goes a little bit far, and this green still goes a little far. So there's like this much overlap right now I need to do there. Right here, I need to trim just, I already marked it on the bottom, I don't know, about an inch off of there. But as you can see, it's got a little bit of a gap right now because I'm not holding it, but if I pull it, it pulls into place. This is pretty much lined up where I want it to be. I'm not gonna trim on that anymore. This is practically perfect, apart from it's shifted to the rear about a 1/4 of an inch. Let's get the door open. Door opens up. My Z piece, just gotta hold it in place. Gotta do a little bit of trimming back here and a little bit right there where it doesn't quite match up. Just like right here, this corner needs to be in there. So I've got my black line already marked. And after that, I can pull the panel back off, sand all the joints where I'm gonna be welding to nice and shiny metal. And I might start tacking it on today. We're running out of daylight, so we'll see if I get to it today.